In 2012, my wife Becky and I set out on a walk of over 490 miles across Spain. This pilgrimage is known as the Camino de Santiago, also called the Way.
I heard about this pilgrimage many years ago. I read a book by Shirley MacLaine called The Camino, and I really wanted to go on this fantastic walk across Spain that she took. Later, almost a decade after I had read the book and wanted to go, I was in class at the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and we were talking about things that we had wanted to do but hadn't done with our lives, and out blurted that walking on the Camino de Santiago, and they told me I had to immediately come home and talk to my husband about it. So I came home and said, I want to walk the Camino de Santiago. And he said, what's that?
So at this time of year, we turn our attentions to the birth of the Christ and the pilgrimage of Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem. Twice each day at the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral, located in Galicia, Spain, there's held a Mass in honor of and to bless those who undertake the pilgrimage. During this Mass, a prayer, the Pilgrim's Prayer, is read. Let's consider that prayer as we explore the pilgrimage of Mary and Joseph and the journey we are all on, the pilgrimage of life.
Let us pray. O God, who brought your servant Abraham out of the land of the Chaldeans, protecting him in his wanderings, who guided the Hebrew people across the desert, we ask that you watch over us, your servants, as we walk in the love of your name. Be for us our companion on the walk, our guide at the crossroads, our breath in our weariness, our protection in danger, our albergue on the Camino, our shade in the heat, our light in the darkness, our consolation in our discouragements, and our strength in our intentions, so that with your guidance we may arrive safe and sound at the end of the road, and enriched with grace and virtue, we return safely to our homes, filled with joy. Let's explore this prayer. The prayer asks for God to be for us our companion on the walk. From the start of the pilgrimage of Mary and Joseph, God showed up as their companion, sending angels to guide and assure them. Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. Luke 1:30. Was this not the real start of their pilgrimage? There is controversy as to why Mary and Joseph chose to go to Bethlehem. The account of the census and taxes are, according to some, historically inaccurate. These reasons had little to do with God's purpose for their pilgrimage. Whatever Joseph's purpose for taking his family on this journey, God let Joseph know he would be there in the journey Joseph would take as husband and father. An angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save the people from their sins. Matthew 1:20-21. Malach is the Hebrew word for angel in Judaism. It means messenger, and it does not distinguish between divine or other. On the Camino, God often showed up as our companion, sending the angels to calm and encourage us, sometimes even showing a bit of humor. Be our guide at the crossroads. Across the 491 miles of the Camino de Santiago, the path is marked by signs of various form bearing a shell. When the Camino was walked by early pilgrims over 1,000 years ago, they would walk to the sea and bring back with them a seashell unique to the region. This is proof they had successfully completed the journey. Every pilgrim carries with him a similar shell, so that those they meet will know their purpose, provide guidance, and the signs will show the way. One day, as we came into the town of Estella, a man dressed in a very nice suit and having good English approached us and asked if he could offer us any assistance. We showed him the name of the place where we would stay. While he could have simply pointed us in the right direction, he walked with us and guided us to the place that turned out to be a little hard to find. Ancient historian Joseph Flavius says, "It is the custom of the Galileans at the time of festival to pass through the Samaritan territory on their way to the holy city. It's likely that Mary and Joseph would have taken this route to Bethlehem and would have found others to help guide them in their journey." Our breath in our weariness. For Mary and Joseph, their journey to Bethlehem would take 5 to 6 days. Mary was 9 months pregnant, and they traveled by mule and foot. They would have been weary at the end of each day. Along the route suggested by Flavius, they would have found places to rest and get food, as the people along this route were used to helping travelers. Our first day on the Camino started in France in the town of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and then over the Pyrenees Mountains to the town of Roncesvalles. This was a long hike with significant ascents followed by rapid descents. It was the first and hardest day of our journey. When we arrived at Roncesvalles, we went to the bar where the albergue we expected to stay in was run from. An albergue is a hostel where the pilgrims traditionally sleep each night. These are sometimes quite nice and sometimes a bit more challenging. When I approached the bar, I was literally told that there was no room at the inn. In fact, it turned out there was no room for us in the town at all. A woman at the bar must have seen how tired we were and how concerned I was that we had no place to stay. The next town was 12 miles walking, and we were exhausted from our day. She told me that she knew of a place where we could stay in the next town, and she'd be willing to take us there. We loaded ourselves and our packs into her van, and she took us to a very nice B&B. "It is God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect." Psalm 18:3. God provided, through this kind woman, a breath in our weariness and made perfect the way. Our protection in danger. The Magi were also on a pilgrimage. They had traveled many miles in a demonstration of faith to find the Christ. When they informed Herod that Jesus was born, asking, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." Matthew 2:2. Herod was furious. An angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Get up, take your child and his mother, and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child and kill him." Matthew 2:14. Again, God protected Jesus and his family. On our pilgrimage, there was a day when Becky had an injury and couldn't go on. We came upon a number of fellow pilgrims resting. We told them our problem, and immediately we had help. Someone told us of a bus that could take us where we needed to go. We also found there was a mother and daughter from Bulgaria, who too were having problems that day. Becky and I didn't speak Spanish. The daughter spoke English and Bulgarian, and the mother spoke Bulgarian and Italian. Well, we decided Italian was close enough to Spanish, and away we went with our God-given companions. The mother was talking to the bus attendant, who seemed agitated. From the back of the bus came a young man traveling with his girlfriend. Thinking about it, how similar they might have looked to Mary and Joseph. The young man explained that the bus was not going where we thought. He offered to help. On his cell phone, he talked to some friends. He arranged for a friend to meet us at the bus stop with a car and take us to where we needed to be. There we were, traveling across an open desert in a foreign country, with only the similarity between Spanish and Italian as our means to communicate with our driver. But God had us. The young man was a perfect gentleman and took us where we needed to be. As a result of our unplanned side trip, we had skipped one town that we would have spent that night in. We heard later that town had experienced an infestation of bedbugs. We met a young lady who had endured the night there and whose skin still showed the extent of the infestation. And our disappointment in missing the one stop became gratitude for being spared this danger. Our shelter on the way. As Jesus and Mary were on a well-traveled route, they likely stayed at homes along the way. I imagine they traveled not knowing what accommodations might be in the next evening. On the Camino, we sometimes found it hard to find a place to stay, and camping was not allowed. Given Becky's injury, we needed a couple of days' rest. We booked the only place I could find in the town we'd end up in. When we arrived in Castro Jerez, it was a small town, maybe a mile long. We walked from end to end and back, trying to find the inn. In desperation, it occurred to me to look at the picture in the reservation. Looking around, we saw a roof line of a building in a small canyon with trim that matched the picture. We had been guided. Walking to the bottom of the canyon, we discovered that we had in fact booked the last available space, a private cottage. It also had a refrigerator and freezer with an ice maker that allowed us to ice Becky's injury and help her recover. Our shade in the heat and our light in the darkness. Darkness comes in many forms. I can only imagine that traveling for days while pregnant could have brought Mary and Joseph, worried about his wife, to a place of emotional darkness at times. I wonder what might have brought them light, perhaps a view or a conversation. One day on our pilgrimage, I remember being tired and feeling worn. As we came into the town we were staying that night, the thought of trying to find a place to stay, as this village was very small and we had not been able to book ahead, was less than inspiring. As we walked around a bend in the dirt road that was the main street through the small village, we came upon a woman emptying a bucket of dirty water on the side of the path. It appeared she might be doing some cleaning of what looked to be a B&B behind her. So I asked if there were any vacancies. The lady with the wash bucket happily took us inside and invited us to see the available room. It was a beautiful room with stone walls, a private bath, and a balcony that overlooked the village. It was the best room we stayed in the whole trip. It was truly a light at a moment of darkness and shade in the heat of that day. Our consolation in our discouragements. From Castro Jerez, we continued to walk to Framista, where we stayed at a B&B owned by a couple, he from Spain and she from Germany. The German woman had good English and enjoyed a good chat with her guests and was full of compassion for Becky's injury. She told us that the next 3 days of the journey were through more industrialized cities and that we'd miss nothing of beauty if we took a train to Lyon. Becky was still suffering from her injuries, and walking on the hard surface of concrete and asphalt in these cities would do her no favor. The kind German woman not only gave us clear directions on how to find the train station, but further contacted a friend in Lyon who ran an inn
who reserved us a room as a favor to her friend. We were certainly discouraged by having to miss part of the walk, but we were consoled by the kindness and concern we received. I wonder who consoled Mary and Joseph on their journey. What did God provide to offset their discouragements? And our strength in our intentions. Mary and Joseph clearly had intention to care for their son and to bring to the world the Christ who would show us the way. Their journey only started with their travel to Bethlehem in Egypt. In many ways, their journey continues today. In order to complete the Camino de Santiago, a pilgrim must fill 3 requirements. They must have taken the Camino for spiritual or religious reasons. They must have completed at least 100 kilometers by foot or on horseback, or 200 kilometers by bicycle. And they must be able to accredit the distance covered. Much like Mary and Joseph, our pilgrimage continues well beyond the certificate we received at the end of the walk. We are all on a pilgrimage of life, the one for which Jesus has shown the way to be enriched with grace and virtue as we return safely to God, filled with joy.
Oh, who will direct me to Bethlehem town? For brightness has hidden the way, and tinsel distractions have stolen from view the infant asleep on the hay. Oh, come and go with me to Bethlehem town, and shielding our eyes from the flare, we'll bow in a stable as starlight shines down, and quietly worship Him there. Oh, who will direct me to Bethlehem town? For clamor has deafened the ear, the shouting of merchants has muffled the song of angel choirs hovering near. Oh, come and go with me to Bethlehem town, and shielding our ears from the blare, we'll bow in a stable as singing floats down, and quietly worship Him there. Oh, come all ye people to Bethlehem town, leave all of the glitter behind, leave diamonds and rubies and silver and gold, the richest of treasures to find. Oh, come and go with me to Bethlehem town, shielding our hearts from the glare. We'll bow in a stable where God has come down and quietly worship Him there. We'll bow in a stable in Bethlehem town and quietly worship Him there. And quietly worship Him there.
How gracious will He be when you cry for help. As soon as He hears, He will answer you. Although the Lord gives you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, your teachers will be hidden no more. With your own eyes you will see them. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30:19-21. Be en camino. Good journey.